law and order have broken down in Detroit, Michigan. Pillage, looting, murder, and arson have nothing to do with civil rights. And the federal government, in the circumstances here presented, had no alternative but to respond. 5,000 federal troops were on their way by...
We had some of our equipment down there. And I thought, oh my God, they're gonna get the Grandy. We got down to Joy Road and Livernois, and now we're in Detroit, and they didn't touch the Grandy. Burned all around us, across the street, up and down. Didn't touch the Grandy at all. And all of a sudden, two little black youngsters come running by. I said, what are you boys doing? How come you're not burning down the Grandy? And they looked at him and said, they got music there, man.
It was a legend. It was the best time of my life.
The original sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
At the Grandy Ballroom, I had the time of my life there.
A really great rock and roll venue. Great rock and roll venue.
The Grandy Ballroom opened the floodgates of musicality genius.
It was much more powerful than what was going on in LA, in San Francisco, and in New York.
In its prime, it was the best place in the world to play. The best place in the world.
We can't talk about it enough. That's how important the Grandy was.
The Grandy was definitely louder than Love. Love was on 7, the Grandy was on 10.
Oh boy, how did the Grandy Ballroom come about? Well, first of all, years and years ago, when my parents were young in Detroit, they used to go dancing there. And so it was built back in about the 20s.
Well, they finished the Grandy Ballroom about 6 months before the stock market crashed. So the Grandy never had a huge, long run as the elegant ballroom that it should have had.
By this time, it was closed. They were storing mattresses up there, which later on probably became an asset to the Grandy. The Grandy Ballroom I think you're talking about is the Rock and Roll Palace, right? I had been a school teacher most of my life. I was up in Howell teaching, and one day I found out they couldn't have dances there, that the religious right had decided that dancing was, you know, boys and girls together. So I said, oh, record hops. So I rented a little place and I put on a dance. We made about $65. Now that was more than I was making as a teacher for a week of work. I said, this is not bad, not bad. So I started to put them on, and so I had an introduction to the business of putting on shows. I made enough money after about a year that I could afford a brand new Thunderbird convertible. Big one. Oh, hey, come on, come on. For a poor boy from Detroit, you know, this was living. Now, when you have a convertible, you have to go somewhere. You know, you can't just drive around and around up Woodward Avenue. There has to be more to life than Woodward and Telegraph. So I whizzed over to California to see a friend of mine, Jim Dunbar. So one night at dinner, he said, well, what are we going to do? And I said, well, show me around. He said, well, listen, he said, I got tickets. You're in the music business. Yeah, let's go to this club I've heard about called the Fillmore. As we're going into this huge building, there was a truck, and it had the Byrds, but it was spelled B-Y-R-D-S. It wasn't the way I was taught to spell Byrds, but it turned out it was a musical group, and they were loading up their equipment. And all of a sudden, you walk in there, and all these kids, long-haired, frizzy hair, you know, every parent's nightmare came alive. And there they were. And on the walls, it was crawling with amoeba, you know, like paisley prints. And of course, that was a light show. Well, I'm stunned. I mean, I'd never seen anything like that before. Music was too loud. you know. Everything was wrong, but it was live. There were no records being played and people miming to the things as they did in my type of shows. So Jim said, would you like to meet Bill Graham, the guy? I said, yeah, sure. So we go in, and he told me about the acts that they were picking, local bands, so forth and so on. And he gave me sort of a rundown of how it was. And that's how the idea for the Grandy struck me.